Welcome to the truth they never taught you in school. Happiness isn't a mystery. It's a science, a discipline, a set of tools you can use every day. So let's break it down into 12 powerful truths that will not only change your mindset, but transform your life. Start your day with light. When the sun rises, rise with it. Natural sunlight in the morning doesn't just wake you up, it resets your entire brain. It tells your body it's time to feel alert, focused, and alive. One small habit, one massive impact. Move your body, shift your mind. Every step you take isn't just about fitness, it's about freedom. Physical movement stimulates brain chemistry. It fights off stress, anxiety, even depression. You don't have to run marathons, just walk, stretch, breathe, repeat. Stress isn't your enemy. Short-term stress can make you stronger. It builds resilience. The key is to control it, not eliminate it. Train your mind to reframe stress as a signal, not a threat. When pressure comes, say, "This is my chance to grow." Sleep is sacred. You can't outwork bad sleep. Your brain clears emotional clutter while you rest. Miss out on sleep and you're sabotaging your own peace. Make it a priority. It's not lazy, it's necessary. Focus is fuel. The world is noisy. Every notification is a thief of joy. When you learn to direct your focus, you reclaim your power. Train your brain like a muscle. Deep work, no distractions, and watch how much better you feel. Dopamine needs direction. You chase pleasure, but it often leaves you empty. That's because dopamine without purpose is a trap. Learn to delay gratification. Earn your highs. Make your brain crave growth, not just comfort. Breathing is your reset button. You carry the tool of peace in your own lungs. Deep, controlled breathing, especially exhaling longer than you inhale, activates calm. Use it before big moments. Use it when anxiety hits. Use it every day. Meaning matters more than pleasure. True happiness doesn't come from constant fun. It comes from deep meaning. Serve others. Build something bigger than yourself. It's not always easy, but it's always fulfilling. The mind and body are one system. What you eat, how you sleep, how you move, it all impacts how you think. Stop treating mental health as separate from physical health. They're two sides of the same coin. Social connection rewires your brain. Isolation breeds despair. Connection sparks life. A simple conversation, a real moment of presence with someone you care about, this is medicine. Reach out, be vulnerable, let people in. Purpose gives pain a place. Life hurts sometimes. But when pain has meaning, it becomes fuel. Set goals. Live for something. Build routines around that purpose and let your daily actions reflect who you want to become. Happiness is earned, not given. It's not luck. It's not a gift. It's built day by day, choice by choice. Learn the science, apply the discipline, trust the process. You're not broken. You're becoming. So remember, joy doesn't just arrive. It's cultivated with light, with movement, with breath, with purpose. Live like it's a craft, because your happiness isn't out there. It's inside you, waiting for you to unlock it. Happiness is a skill, not a destination, built through daily practices. Most people think of happiness as something that either happens to them or doesn't. They imagine it as a finish line, a final reward after success, wealth, or love. But this mindset is not only misleading, it's dangerous. It places happiness outside of your control. It turns it into a moving target, something forever tied to external conditions. But what if you learn that happiness is not an achievement, not a trophy, not a final resting place, but a skill, a learnable, repeatable, trainable process? The truth is, your emotional state is not entirely dependent on your circumstances. It's largely shaped by what you do every day. Just like building strength in a gym or learning a new language, happiness is built through intentional habits. It's not about waiting to feel good. It's about learning how to create that feeling through daily, deliberate actions. Think about it. If happiness were a destination, people who had everything would never feel empty. Yet many who seem to have it all are still searching, still battling anxiety or depression. And on the other side, some of the happiest people live with far less, not because they've given up, but because they've mastered the art of turning ordinary moments into meaningful ones. They've learned how to self-generate contentment through routine, mindset, and discipline. Happiness as a skill means that you're not a victim of your mood. You're not at the mercy of your environment. It means that your brain and body, when properly trained, can access joy more consistently, regardless of what's happening around you. That's powerful. That's freedom. And science backs it up. Neural circuits related to joy, motivation, and calm are shaped by what you expose yourself to. With repetition and reinforcement, you can literally rewire your brain to be more optimistic, more resilient, more at peace. But like any skill, happiness doesn't come from knowledge alone. Reading about it won't be enough. You have to do the work. And that work begins with awareness, recognizing that small decisions made consistently shape how you feel. For instance, Something as simple as getting sunlight in the morning can uplift your mood because it tells your brain to release the right chemicals at the right time. A short walk in nature can regulate your stress hormones. A conversation with a loved one can boost your sense of connection. These are not just feel-good tips. They are biological tools, keys to unlocking more joy. The mistake most people make is waiting for happiness to happen. They say, when I get that job, then I'll be happy. When I find love, then I'll feel whole. But happiness doesn't work like that. If you can't find gratitude now, you won't find it later either. The brain adapts. What excites you today becomes your normal tomorrow. That's why chasing achievements alone never leads to lasting joy. The thrill fades. And if you've never learned to find happiness in the ordinary, you'll always be chasing the next high. On the other hand, when happiness is treated like a craft, every day becomes an opportunity to sharpen it. Morning routines become rituals of renewal. Exercise becomes medicine. Journaling becomes self-therapy. Breathwork becomes your anchor in chaos. These habits may seem small in isolation, but together they form a foundation. They train your nervous system to regulate stress, your mind to focus on gratitude, your heart to stay open. And don't confuse this with toxic positivity. This isn't about pretending to be happy or ignoring pain. True happiness as a skill includes space for sadness, for anger, for struggle. It's about learning how to move through those emotions without letting them define you. It's about building a toolkit, a personal, emotional infrastructure that can hold you steady when life shakes. It's also important to understand that effort doesn't cancel out happiness. It deepens it. We tend to think that joy comes from rest, ease, comfort. And sometimes it does. But deep, meaningful happiness often comes from effort, from doing hard things, from following through on your promises, from becoming someone you respect. That's why discipline is such a crucial part of this skill. Because when you live in alignment with your values, when your actions reflect your highest self, your happiness becomes rooted, not shaken by the winds of circumstance. Let's take an example. Say you wake up one morning feeling low. Your energy is off, your mind is foggy, and motivation is nowhere to be found. In the past, you might have surrendered to it, stayed in bed, scrolled endlessly, isolated yourself. But now, having treated happiness as a skill, you know the tools. You get up, open your blinds, and get sunlight on your face. You stretch, maybe walk for 10 minutes, breathe deeply. You make your bed. You drink water. You journal one page about what you're feeling. You text a friend and say something kind. None of these actions are magical, but combined they shift your physiology. They awaken your system. And slowly you feel the fog begin to lift, not because life changed, but because you did. And the more you repeat this, the more automatic it becomes. The more your brain says, when I feel low, I know how to rise. That's skill. That's practice. That's mastery. It doesn't mean you'll never struggle. It means you'll never be helpless again. Over time, you begin to experience happiness less as a mood and more as a baseline, a quiet strength underneath everything else. It becomes who you are, not what you wait for. You start to feel grateful for small things, present in everyday moments, curious in the face of challenges. That's the real reward. Not a constant high, but a deep trust in your ability to feel okay, even when things aren't. And this is available to anyone. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need a flawless past. You just need to start practicing. Today, one action at a time, one better choice, and then repeat. Show up for your happiness like you would for any goal. Train for it, respect it, and understand that you're not chasing it anymore. You're becoming it. Because happiness, when you build it from the inside, is unshakable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Your biology shapes your emotions. Understand it to master your mind. Most people walk through life thinking their emotions are abstract forces, unpredictable waves that rise and fall without control. They say things like, I just feel off today, or I'm not in the mood, and they leave it at that as if emotion is this random thing that happens to them. But here's the truth. Your emotions are deeply tied to your biology. They are not some mystical energy. They are biochemical, neurochemical, and physiological events happening inside your body. And the more you understand the biology behind what you feel, the more power you have to influence and master your emotional state. Every feeling, whether it's joy, sadness, motivation, fear, or peace, has a biological signature. There's a pattern of brain activity, a release of certain neurotransmitters, a rhythm in your heart rate, and a signal from your gut. It's not just in your head, it's in your whole system. And when you start to study these patterns, even just the basics, you gain a superpower. You stop blaming yourself for feeling down and start asking better questions. Did I sleep well? Have I moved today? Have I connected with someone I care about? Did I get sunlight? What did I eat? Did I hydrate? These aren't small questions. They are the keys to unlocking your emotional control. Take dopamine, for example. It's the molecule of motivation and desire. When your dopamine system is balanced, you feel curious, energized, and forward-moving. But if you constantly chase artificial dopamine spikes, like scrolling endlessly on social media or eating processed junk foods, your brain becomes dull to natural rewards. You feel flat, uninspired, and stuck. But when you learn how dopamine works, you begin to respect its rhythm. You learn to earn it through effort, through things like cold exposure, exercise, focused work, or goal pursuit. And suddenly, your motivation starts to return. Not because you forced it, but because you supported the biology behind it. The same applies to cortisol, the stress hormone. A little cortisol in the morning. Good, it wakes you up, makes you alert, helps you perform. Chronic high cortisol all day, especially at night. Problem. It interferes with your sleep, your memory, your mood. But when you understand this, you don't just wish for less stress. You take actions that regulate cortisol, things like limiting caffeine late in the day, managing your light exposure, breathing slowly to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, or even taking short breaks to reset your brain. These aren't random hacks. They are biologically informed actions designed to support emotional stability. Your gut also plays a massive role in how you feel. There's a reason it's called your second brain. The gut-brain axis is a two-way communication system that influences everything from anxiety to focus. If your gut is inflamed due to poor diet, stress, or lack of sleep, you'll likely feel foggy, irritable, and disconnected. But with small changes, like eating whole foods, increasing fiber, reducing inflammatory foods, you can reduce that fog, your mood lifts, your mind clears. Again, not magic, biology. Sleep is another master regulator. One night of poor sleep can increase anxiety by up to 30%. That's not a feeling, it's a physiological reality. Sleep controls hormone regulation, emotional reactivity, memory consolidation, and more. And yet, it's one of the most overlooked parts of emotional health. People try to think their way out of sadness or overwhelm while staying up past midnight and waking to alarms that cut deep into their rest. You can't outthink biology. But when you give your body the sleep it needs, your brain starts to heal. You wake up more balanced, more in control. Even your posture affects your emotions. When you slouch, you're sending a signal of defeat to your brain. When you stand tall, take deep breaths, and move with intention, you're not just changing your body, you're shifting your neurochemistry. These are micro adjustments that produce macro results over time. They are tools within reach, and they don't cost a thing. And then there's light, one of the most powerful biological regulators of mood. Early morning sunlight tells your brain it's time to be awake, alert, and energized. It sets your internal clock and tells your body when to release hormones like serotonin and later melatonin. Miss that morning light and your rhythm is off, your energy dips, your sleep gets delayed, your mood suffers. But step outside within an hour of waking, let the sunlight hit your eyes, not through a window, but directly, and your body starts to align. Your brain thanks you with clarity, focus, and steadiness. So why does all this matter? Because too many people treat their emotions as personal flaws. They think, I'm lazy, when in fact they're biologically depleted. They think, I'm broken, when really their sleep, nutrition, or nervous system is out of balance. Understanding biology doesn't excuse us, it empowers us. It teaches us how to take responsibility in a way that actually works, not through guilt, through understanding, through action. It's time to stop guessing how to feel better. You don't have to live on hope alone. There's science, there's data, there's repeatable evidence showing how our bodies impact our minds. And once you embrace that, you begin to live differently. You start asking, what does my brain need today? And the answer isn't always complex. Sometimes it's a glass of water, a walk outside, a real meal, a break from screens, a talk with someone who truly listens. These choices stack. And when you make them consistently, your biology starts working for you, not against you. No one is saying life becomes perfect, or that emotions disappear. You will still feel pain. You will still have hard days, but you will also have tools. You will have clarity. You will know that how you feel is not random, that you can intervene, that you can create the conditions for peace, focus, and joy. Because your biology isn't just background noise, it's the instrument that plays the music of your life. And when you learn how to tune it, you stop waiting for the right mood to show up. You create it, you practice it, you become it. And that is how you master your mind from the inside out. Movement, light, and rest are the three pillars of emotional balance. If you want to feel better, think clearer, and live with greater purpose, you don't need to start with motivation, you need to start with biology. And at the core of emotional regulation, energy, and mental health are three non-negotiable pillars: movement, light, and rest. These are not suggestions or optional wellness tips. They are fundamental to how your brain and body function. They determine how you feel, how you think, and how resilient you are. Without them, even the strongest mindset will crack under pressure. With them, you become stable, focused, and emotionally balanced. Movement is the foundation of vitality. It doesn't matter whether you go to the gym or take a walk in your neighborhood. What matters is that you move your body daily. Human beings were never designed to sit still for hours, slouched in front of screens. The moment you start moving, even gently, your body releases a cascade of chemicals: dopamine for motivation, serotonin for mood stability, endorphins for stress relief, and BDNF, a brain growth factor that literally makes your brain more resilient and adaptable. This isn't just about fitness or physique. It's about psychological survival. Movement shifts your state. If you're anxious, it grounds you. If you're sad, it lifts you. If you're stuck, it gets you flowing again. And it doesn't have to be complicated. A 20-minute brisk walk can change the trajectory of your entire day. That's the power of movement: small inputs, big outcomes. Light, particularly natural light, is your body's main timekeeper. It tells your brain when to wake up, when to release energy, and when to start winding down. The most important window is within 1 hour of waking. When sunlight hits your eyes, without sunglasses, not through glass, your brain receives the signal to stop producing melatonin and start producing cortisol and serotonin in balanced ways. This sets your circadian rhythm in motion, which controls nearly every hormonal and metabolic process in your body. If you skip morning light and spend most of your time indoors under artificial lights or behind screens, your brain gets confused. Your sleep becomes inconsistent, your energy dips midday, and your emotions become harder to regulate. But with consistent morning light, your body starts to recalibrate. Your sleep improves, your focus sharpens, and your mood stabilizes. And it doesn't require perfection, just intention. Even cloudy days have enough light to send the right signals. Step outside, look toward the sky, let your biology align with nature, and your nervous system will begin to reset. Then there's rest, the most misunderstood and undervalued pillar of all. Most people think of rest as a reward or something you do only when you're exhausted. But rest is not passive. It's active recovery. It's biological repair. Your brain does some of its most important work while you're asleep, clearing out waste, consolidating memories, balancing neurotransmitters, and recalibrating your emotional circuits. One night of poor sleep and your amygdala, the emotional alarm system in your brain, becomes hyperactive. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, reasoning, and emotional regulation, starts to shut down. The result: you feel overwhelmed by minor things. You overact. You spiral. Not because you're weak, but because you're sleep deprived. And if that becomes chronic, so does emotional instability. But rest doesn't just mean sleep. It also means intentional pauses throughout your day. Breaks that give your nervous system space to breathe. Even 5-minute pauses between tasks or short afternoon moments of stillness can reduce cognitive fatigue and recharge your system. Learning how to rest, truly rest, isn't laziness. It's wisdom. It's efficiency. It's strategy. Because the goal isn't just to keep going, it's to keep growing. And growth requires recovery. When movement, light, and rest are combined, you create an internal rhythm that supports every function of your being. You wake up with energy because your light exposure is consistent. You handle stress better because your body is trained through movement. You recover faster because your sleep is deep and uninterrupted. These three elements don't just help you survive, they help you thrive. They create a foundation so strong that when life throws chaos your way, you don't crumble, you recalibrate. The mistake most people make is trying to fix their emotional state purely with thought. They journal, meditate, listen to motivational content, and those are all powerful tools. But if your biology is off, your thoughts will eventually collapse under the weight of physical imbalance. You can't meditate your way out of chronic sleep deprivation. You can't journal your way through complete lack of movement. And you can't visualize your way out of poor light exposure. The body must come first. The brain follows the body. When your physical systems are aligned, your thoughts, focus, and emotions become easier to manage. Let's make it practical. Want to reduce anxiety? Start with 20 minutes of cardio. It releases GBA, a calming neurotransmitter that directly counters stress. Want better focus? Get sunlight in the morning, then do a few minutes of deep breathing mid-day to reset your nervous system. Want emotional stability? Set a consistent sleep routine, same time to bed, same time to wake. These are not trends. These are timeless principles rooted in biology and backed by science. And once these habits become your lifestyle, something incredible happens. you start to build momentum. You stop chasing balance and start living it. You realize that mental clarity is not an accident, it's earned. You feel calm more often, not because the world is quiet, but because you are. You begin to trust yourself again because your mind is no longer fighting against your body, it's working with it. You don't need a perfect routine to start. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight, but you do need to respect the power of these three pillars: movement, light, and rest. Master these, and you build the foundation for long-term emotional well-being. You don't have to guess how to feel better. You already have the tools. Your body is waiting for you to use them, because balance isn't something you find, it's something you build. One walk, one sunrise, one night of good sleep at a time. Control what you focus on. It determines your reality. Every second of every day, your brain is flooded with information. Sounds, sights, thoughts, emotions, countless signals coming at you from both the outside world and your internal world. But you don't process everything. You can't. The brain filters most of it out, and what remains, the thoughts you hold on to, the problems you obsess over, the hopes you nurture, shapes your reality. What you focus on expands. What you choose to give your attention to becomes your experience. This isn't just a mental concept, it's a biological truth. Your focus directs your brain's chemistry. It sculpts your emotional state. It controls your perception of the world around you. Focus is not just a passive event that happens to you. It is a tool, a skill. And if you don't learn how to control it, the world will do it for you. Distractions are everywhere. Social media, news, gossip, negativity, overstimulation, these things hijack your attention and program your mind without your permission. They feed fear, comparison, and scarcity. And if you're not intentional, your nervous system becomes addicted to chaos, your thoughts spiral, and you start to feel like life is happening to you. But when you begin to control your focus, everything changes. You shift from being reactive to being deliberate. You stop absorbing negativity and start creating direction. The human brain has a built-in filter called the reticular activating system, RAS. This system decides what information is important to you based on what you're focused on. If you constantly think about problems, the RAS shows you more problems. If you choose to focus on opportunities, solutions, or growth, your brain begins to highlight those things. It's not magic, it's biology. Your reality is a reflection of your repeated focus. If you wake up every day and direct your attention toward what's lacking, what's wrong, or what scares you, you condition your brain to live in stress. But if you begin each day by focusing on what you're grateful for, what you can control, and what you're committed to becoming, you begin to rewire your entire experience. Your thoughts are not just passing clouds. They have weight. They release chemicals. They alter your physiology. A thought of fear can increase your heart rate. A thought of gratitude can release serotonin. A moment of deep focus can trigger dopamine and a sense of achievement. This means you're not stuck. You're not a prisoner to the moment. You have the ability to shift your emotional state by shifting your focus. The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. This is why mindfulness is so powerful. Not because it's trendy, but because it trains the brain to stay present. And in the present, you have power. Regret lives in the past. Anxiety lives in the future. But clarity and action live right now. Focus grounds you. It brings your mind back into your body. It breaks the loop of overthinking and puts you into a state of control. And you don't need hours of silence to practice this. Even one deep breath with full awareness is enough to remind your brain where you are. One moment of choosing presence can interrupt an entire storm of mental chaos. Discipline is the next level of focus. It's when you train your mind not just to return to the present, but to stay there with purpose. You choose your focus based on your goals, your values, your vision, not your moods or distractions. You learn to say no to what doesn't serve you. You stop reacting to every notification, every drama, every urge to escape. Instead, you stay with what matters. This is how powerful people are built, not through luck, but through focused attention. They know what to ignore. They know what to care about. They direct their mind like a laser, not a flashlight. And because of that, they move faster, think clearer, and feel more fulfilled. But this doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. Focus is not denial, it's direction. If you're hurting, focus can guide you to healing. If you're lost, focus can help you find your next step. If you're overwhelmed, focus breaks the chaos into clarity. You don't have to solve everything at once. You just have to choose what to give your attention to in this moment. That's how momentum begins. In relationships, focus helps you connect. When you give someone your full attention without checking your phone, without thinking about your to-do list, you create presence. And presence builds trust, love, safety. Most conflicts in life aren't about circumstances, They're about where our attention is. Are we listening or just hearing? Are we observing or assuming? Are we present or distracted? The difference between connection and disconnection is focus. Even in creativity and performance, focus is the foundation. Flow state, the peak state of human performance, is not random. It's triggered when focus, challenge, and skill align. When you remove distractions, commit to a clear goal, and give your full attention to one thing, your brain enters a rhythm where time fades and effort feels effortless. You can access this in art, work, learning, training, even in conversation, but only when you focus. To train your focus, you don't need expensive tools. You just need intention and practice. Begin your day with 5 minutes of silence or journaling. Ask yourself, what do I want to focus on today? Choose one priority. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Take regular breaks to reset your brain. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back. This isn't failure, it's training. Just like muscles grow with reps, focus grows with redirection. And when life gets loud, when chaos surrounds you, remember, you don't have to control everything. You just need to control where your attention goes. Because energy flows where attention goes. And your attention is the currency of your life. Spend it wisely. Guard it carefully. Direct it intentionally, because ultimately, you are not just shaped by your circumstances. You are shaped by what you choose to notice, nurture, and believe. Your focus writes the story your brain believes, and that story becomes your reality. Choose that story wisely. Growth comes from discomfort, comfort comes from discipline. There's a lie that comfort equals happiness. That if you could just remove every challenge, eliminate every stress, and coast through life without effort, you'd finally feel good. But that belief is not only false, it's destructive. Because real fulfillment doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from leaning into it. Growth, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, comes from discomfort. From stepping into the places where your strength is tested, where your limits are pushed, and where your comfort zone is left behind. That's where you evolve. That's where you rise. Discomfort is not the enemy. It's the signal. It's the environment where you learn what you're made of. Think about any meaningful transformation you've gone through. It didn't happen when things were easy. It happened when you were challenged, when you had to dig deep, when you faced something uncertain and chose to keep going anyway. That moment of fear, resistance, or hesitation, that's not a stop sign. It's an invitation. An invitation to grow, to adapt, to get stronger. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It wants to keep you safe, not challenged. It interprets discomfort as danger. But in modern life, most discomfort isn't life-threatening. It's effort requiring. It's unfamiliar. And that's the exact zone where growth happens. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, is most active when you're outside of what's familiar. When you're learning a new skill, speaking up despite fear, pushing through resistance in a workout, or waking up early to build discipline, you're not just changing your habits, you're literally reshaping your brain. But here's the twist. While growth comes from discomfort, long-term comfort, the kind that's earned and stable, comes from discipline, not from ease, not from laziness, from doing the right things consistently, even when they're hard. Discipline is not punishment, it's structure. It's freedom earned through consistency. When you train your body regularly, you become stronger. When you show up for your mind daily, you become sharper. When you follow through on promises to yourself, you become confident, not because things are easy, but because you've proven you can handle hard things. Comfort without discipline decays. It's a comfort that turns into apathy, regret, and weakness. It feels good for a moment, but over time, it steals your strength because deep down, you know you're capable of more. You feel the tension between the life you're living and the life you could be building. That gap isn't filled by motivation or inspiration. It's filled by action. Repeated, focused, uncomfortable action. That's where the magic is. And the truth is, discomfort isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Waking up when you said you would. Choosing a workout over the couch. Having a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Putting your phone down and focusing on your work. These seem small, but they are daily acts of resistance against mediocrity. Every time you choose discomfort in service of growth, you deposit strength into your character. You build a kind of self-trust that no external comfort can replace. Discipline doesn't mean you never rest. It means you choose when to rest, you earn your comfort, you build it into your routine. When you live with discipline, rest becomes rejuvenating, not guilt-ridden. You know, you've earned it because you've done the work. That's real comfort, the kind that brings peace, not regret. The kind that's rooted in effort, not avoidance. Let's be honest, modern life is built to seduce you into ease. You can scroll for hours without moving. You can order anything with a tap. You can escape every hard feeling with entertainment, food, or distraction. But the cost is high. The cost is your attention, your energy, your strength. The world wants your comfort more than your growth. And if you don't choose discomfort intentionally, it will find you anyway in the form of anxiety, dissatisfaction, or the pain of untapped potential. Growth requires pressure. Just like muscles grow when they're challenged, your mind grows when it's tested. But the process requires commitment. You won't always feel like doing the hard thing. That's why discipline exists, to carry you when motivation fades, to give you a path when your emotions try to steer you away. Discipline is your anchor. It's the repetition of small habits that slowly, silently, powerfully build a new version of you. And something incredible happens when you live this way. You begin to crave the challenge, not because it's comfortable, but because you know who you become on the other side of it. You stop fearing discomfort and start respecting it. You realize that every struggle is a seed for strength. Every resistance is an opportunity. Every day you do what's hard, your identity shifts. You start to see yourself differently, not as someone who needs to be saved, but as someone who shows up for yourself, for your purpose, for your future. There's no shortcut, no hack, no easy way around this, but that's the beauty of it. Because if it were easy, it wouldn't mean anything. Growth earned is confidence earned. Progress made through discipline is progress that lasts. You don't have to get it all right today. You don't have to be perfect. But you do have to choose. Choose to lean in. Choose to face discomfort instead of running from it. Choose to show up when it's easier to stay in bed. Choose to act when your mind says, maybe later. And over time, those choices compound. They shape your mindset. They shape your habits. They shape your life. Until one day you look back and realize that the discomfort you used to avoid is now the path you walk with purpose. That the discipline you resisted is now your foundation. That the comfort you feel is no longer empty, it's earned. Because growth doesn't happen by chance, it happens by challenge. And true comfort, lasting, deep, meaningful comfort, is only found on the other side of discipline. Purpose and connection are fundamental for long-term joy. In a world filled with distractions, temporary pleasures, and constant noise, many people still find themselves feeling empty. They chase entertainment, comfort, validation, and even success, yet something inside them still feels unsettled. That emptiness is not because they haven't done enough or achieved enough. It's because they're missing the two core ingredients that give life depth and meaning, purpose and connection. Without these, even the best moments can feel hollow. But when you begin to live with purpose and nurture real connection, you don't just experience moments of happiness. You build a foundation for long-term joy. Purpose is what gives your life direction. It's the reason you get up in the morning, the energy behind your actions, and the compass that guides your decisions. It doesn't have to be dramatic or world-changing. It just needs to be meaningful to you. For some, purpose comes from building a career. For others, it's about serving their family, sharing a message, creating art, helping others, or becoming the best version of themselves. What matters is that it pulls you forward, that it challenges you to rise, that it gives your pain a place and your effort a reason. When you live without purpose, you start drifting. You move from one task to the next, one day to the next, without clarity or enthusiasm. You feel tired, but you're not sure why. You feel anxious, but there's nothing specific wrong. That's what happens when there's no deeper intention behind your actions. Purpose doesn't remove struggle, but it gives struggle meaning. It transforms obstacles into stepping stones. It helps you endure discomfort because you know it's part of something larger. When you know your why, that becomes bearable. You stop living by default and start living by design. And purpose is not something you find once. It's something you build. It evolves. It deepens. You discover it through action, not through waiting. Many people sit back and say, I don't know my purpose. But purpose doesn't appear in silence. It shows up when you move, when you try, when you pay attention to what makes you feel alive. It starts as a small spark, a curiosity, an interest, a desire to grow. Follow that spark and it becomes a fire. Equally important is connection. Human beings are wired to connect. We are social creatures at the biological level. Your brain and body respond powerfully to love, belonging, and shared emotion. A single moment of genuine connection, eye contact, a kind word, a deep conversation can regulate your nervous system, calm your mind, and remind you that you are not alone. And yet, in today's digital world, so many people feel isolated, surrounded by notifications but starved for real presence. Seen online, but unseen in real life. Connection is not about proximity, it's about presence. It's about vulnerability. It's about being real with someone and allowing them to be real with you. Without connection, purpose becomes heavy. It turns into pressure. You feel like you're carrying everything on your own. But when you share the journey, when you build meaningful relationships, life becomes lighter. Joy becomes deeper. Even pain becomes more manageable. Because when you're truly connected, you don't have to pretend. You don't have to impress. You just have to show up as you are, and that's enough. Science backs this up. Studies show that strong social bonds are one of the biggest predictors of long-term happiness and health, more than income status or even career success. People who invest in relationships, deep, honest, and meaningful ones, report higher life satisfaction, better emotional stability, and even live longer. This isn't just emotional wisdom, it's physiological reality. Connection is a basic human need, but just like purpose, connection takes effort. It doesn't always come naturally. It requires time, attention, and courage. It means being willing to reach out even when you feel like withdrawing. It means listening without judgment, speaking with honesty, and showing compassion. It means putting the phone down, being present, and giving someone the gift of your full attention. These small acts create trust, and trust creates safety. And from that safety, joy grows. When purpose and connection are missing, people often try to fill the void with stimulation. They chase new purchases, new experiences, new distractions. But these things don't last, they fade. Because they're external, not internal. They're surface level, not soul level. True joy doesn't come from what you consume, it comes from what you create, from what you contribute, from how you connect. Imagine waking up each day with clarity about why you're here and who you're walking this path with. That feeling of being rooted in purpose and surrounded by meaningful connection, that's not just happiness, that's fulfillment, that's peace, that's resilience. It's what holds you together when life falls apart. It's what brings you back when you feel lost. It's what keeps you going when everything else feels uncertain. And the beautiful thing is, it's never too late to start. You can begin today. Ask yourself what matters most. What makes you feel alive? What are you willing to struggle for? Who are the people that lift you up, that make you feel seen, that remind you of who you are? Reach out, reflect, realign, start building a life around these two pillars. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Purpose will give your life direction. Connection will give it depth. Together, they form the roots of lasting joy. Not a fleeting feeling, but a deep, stable sense of meaning, the kind that doesn't disappear when circumstances change, the kind that grows stronger over time, the kind that no success or setback can take away. Because in the end, it's not about how much you did, it's about why you did it and who you shared it with.